Hey everyone, welcome back to Thailand. I'm sitting here in Nha Jam Tien Beach. After my last video I did about comparing retiring in Thailand versus retiring in Vietnam, in Da Nang specifically, got a lot of pushback on a few things. Part of it was on the retirement visa thing. Part of it was just people saying something like, hey Mike, if Da Nang is so cheap and Da Nang is so clean and you love the community there so much, why are you still in Thailand? And I never really talked about it much because I was kind of just keeping it impartial. But today is a new dawn and it's a new beach, so screw impartiality. I'm just going to talk about what's working for me in Thailand. And I imagine some other retirees as well, right? There'll be some other like-minded people. So welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike. And one last thing as a bonus, at the end of this video, I'll tell you what it would take for me to make that move from Thailand to Vietnam. Okay, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's get into it. All right, so to give this video some structure, I'm going to stick to three main points. First, I want to talk about this whole concept of the retirement visa that Thailand has and Vietnam does not. A lot of people talked about that. Next thing was a thing I wasn't even thinking about, but someone brought up this idea that, oh, you're in Thailand because of girls, because you can meet girls and that kind of thing. And I never really thought about that because when I made the video, I made it with the idea of anyone retiring, men or women, because I meet tons of like retirees who are women in Da Nang. But I realized, yeah, I kind of missed out on that. It's not enough to just say, you know, what healthcare is like or the cost of living, right? So I'm going to give some more information on what these countries are like, depending on, you know, that kind of thing, you know, men or women and stuff like that. Sorry, I've got some notes down here because I'm exhausted. So finally, I'll just do some complete subjective stuff on what I like and why I'm still here. Because it's my channel, damn it. So, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's that helpful for people because, you know, what I like is not going to be necessarily what you like. But I'll give you my take on things, all right? So those are the three things. So, all right, 1, 2, 3, let's get at it. Okay, so the first point was about the retirement visa. And I got a lot of people saying in all caps, you know, screaming like, you're a liar, you can't retire in Vietnam because there's no retirement visa. Like, stop telling lies, like literally people yelling. And I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking, why are you writing in all caps and yelling? And two, of course you fucking can. Like tons of people are retired in Vietnam now. It's like more all the time. In fact, in my last video, I interviewed Chase, who's a buddy of mine, Canadian guy. He retired early. He loves living in Da Nang. And he has to leave every 3 months, but that's worth it to him. He doesn't want to live anywhere else, right? And you'll see, I see tons of people from my generation on TikTok. I know I'm too old for TikTok, you know, like get over it. I've actually got like 170,000 something followers on TikTok. So yeah, if you're on TikTok, you know, subscribe or not subscribe, follow me back. On that feed, I tend to get a lot of older generation people and they're loving it, you know. A lot of them are a little bit, you know, new to the whole living abroad thing. So a lot of these, especially the older guys, tend to focus a little bit too much on cost of living. And there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, Thailand can be cheap as you want it to be. It just takes more work. It's not as in your face cheap as Da Nang is, and Vietnam outside of Da Nang is, you know, magnitude of order cheaper even still. But getting back to the point, yeah, you absolutely can retire there. It's just, the question is not can you, the question is it worth it for you, right? But the thing about this discussion that really brought it home for me was it is more important to me than I thought it was. I used to tell people, it's like, no, that's not such a big deal. But you know what? It kind of is, really, right? So, you know, once you have things set up here, it's actually quite easy, you know, extending. In fact, get ready for some story time, boys and girls. This happened literally last week. So I was going to go to the immigration office beside Jom Tien Immigration. It's a little shop that'll do things for you. And they've got a service where they'll take your photos and fill out your forms. And yeah, I know I can do that myself, but I hate paperwork more than I love $10. So I went in and I asked this girl to do, who looked remarkably like an Asian Sandra Bullock, by the way, like really, yeah, gave that Sandra Bullock vibe. So I'm watching the immigration office. It's empty, and that is very rare. You don't see that. So I asked Sandra Bullock, like, is this unusually quiet? She said, yeah, it's been like no customers all day. So after she finished everything, which took like 10 minutes, I thought I'd roll the dice. So I quickly got on my bike, went home, got my bank stuff, went to Gungsi Bank, which is right in Jomtien as well. Normally that's an hour and a half at least process, right? Because it just is, if there's a lot of people there. But there was no one there, like no other foreigners there. I had to wait for one person in front of me to do her thing. I got my letter that you need to show you have money in the bank. I went back to see Sandra Bullock. They did my last stuff for the bank I needed. I went into the queue to get there's a queue you have to line up for just to get a number. I was first in line. I get into the immigration office. There's no one else in front of me. I get called up right away, and I'm done and dusted in 30 minutes, right? Like, it was insane. You know, my point here is not to tell you about paperwork, and that was an unusual thing. Seeing a non-busy office, a government office in Thailand is like seeing a unicorn, right? It's not something you see every day. But, you know, when I got back, that's kind of when it hit me that I don't have to worry about immigration or a visa or anything. Like, not next month, not in 3 months, like in a year. And not only that, but when I do go back, because I've done this numerous times, I just do it myself, other than, you know, Sandra Bullock's help. There's something about that security, that not having that thing to worry about, that at my age kind of makes a difference, right? That level of certainty. And I guess a lot of people watching this are kind of my age. My average demographic's pretty high. You'll probably agree with this, but, you know, as the older I get, the more I value removing problems from my life. And a big thing when you're living abroad that you have to think about, that's a real thing, is visas. So for all those people who were railing on me for saying that it wasn't as important as I made it out to be, it is important to me, right? For younger people, not so much. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you'll move a country just to save $200 a month, right? That's a real thing. That's why there's, a lot of younger people are based in Vietnam, because you can just live so cheaply and so well there. But when you're older, that security matters, right? So that's what I got to say about the visa thing. And by the way, for anyone who's watching this and thinking, hey, I saw this guy Mike on YouTube, and he said that immigration takes 10 minutes once a year. It's like, no. That was just a very unusual event. In Bangkok, you'll arrive an hour early and you'll go right to the end of the day, most times, right? So that was not a normal thing. So before you sell your house and move to Thailand on that one thing alone, yeah, don't do that. Having said that, it is once a year, and once you've done it once, it's pretty painless. So yeah. Okay, point number 2. That is basically Thailand versus Vietnam, or any place, according to who you are. Not just about healthcare or cost of living, but you, and particularly you as a man or a woman, right? Like your gender orientation, all that kind of stuff will make a difference on how you get along in these countries. Now, first, to address the guys a bunch of guys said that, you left out why guys move here because of women. And actually, I wasn't even thinking of that, as I said, but it is a real thing here. Before people jump on me, I'm not making any moral arguments here. I think people get up to what they get up to, but it's not for every guy who's here. Like, a lot of guys living in Da Nang, it's not on their radar. And a lot of guys living here, it's not on their radar. It's not on my radar. I mean, I'm not saying when I was in my 30s, I didn't get up to some shit, but I am not here because of that. And I think for most guys, they fall into one of 3 categories. Either they're here because of that, like that's the only reason they're in Thailand. And if that's you, that's great. Thailand is your place you need to be, because you won't find that kind of bar life and all that stuff in Vietnam. Then you got the guys who are like, dabble. And then you got the people who just, it's not on their radar. They're living in the country somewhere, they got a girlfriend, or they're just living like me. I've been single for ages. But I will say this, from a guy's perspective, if you're living in Thailand, even if you don't get up to that stuff, it doesn't bother you. Like, I don't ever get indignant when I see a guy my age with a girl who's like a third of his age. It doesn't even bother me. I think with younger guys, they might have a little more to say about that. I know they do. Like younger traveler guys, I hear them talking about that. They don't like that. But I'm talking about retirees. Mostly we're kind of live and let live kind of people. So that's from a guy's perspective. But from a woman's perspective, I'm not a woman, but from the friends of mine who are. Now, if you're a woman watching this, your experience is probably a bit different, right? Now, I'm just speaking from what I know from friends. But I know that for a lot of women, particularly retirement age women, they don't like it. They feel uncomfortable about it. They're not quite as judgy about it as younger people are, but they don't really like it. Some of it just don't like seeing guys with girls a third of their age. And for some, it's just exhausting to always be surrounded by that vibe, because especially around here, it is a little bit on the predatory side. If you're in Bangkok, you don't see it so much. But if you are in Pattaya or Patong or places like that, it's kind of inescapable, right? So if you're a woman and that kind of thing is going to not be something you want to see, Vietnam will be a much better place. Also, there's just a much larger community of women who have set up shop in Vietnam versus here. It is incredibly rare that I just meet some single woman my age who's retired here, whereas in Vietnam it's everywhere. So for women, it's Vietnam is probably a bit better place. And finally, no one left any comments, but I've gotten DMs from some guys, gay guys, who, for people who are openly gay, they report that Vietnam is not always a happy place to be, because you kind of have to hide things. And the local guys, they are much more aware of how they're perceived. Whereas in Thailand, one of the things I love about Thai people, is they're not judgy about what you do, right? They'll look at other people and just go, yeah, okay, that's you doing you. I can't say what Vietnamese people do, because I don't have that experience. But I am told that they're much more conservative about what other people get up to in public. Whereas Thailand, they're not like that. What they do care about is that you show respect for things. You disrespecting a Thai is a kind of thing that will get you into a fight here. But you just being who you are is not that big of a deal. And I think that probably matters as well for transgender people. For trans people here, there's a guy I used to go to a little outdoor restaurant-y place, just some woman making food. And I'd see a guy go by living his best life, man. And he was clearly transitioning, but he was some American guy, I guess, some Western guy, had the earrings and stuff. I'm not going to, no judgment involved about how the guy looked, but nobody cares, right? They really do not, you be you, boo, kind of thing. You're not going to experience that kind of bigotry and hatred that you'll get in a lot of countries, America included. Like, it is well reported that for people living who are really openly gay or transgender, they have to put up with a lot of crap. They have to put a lot of violence, like, real violence. You're not going to have to put up with that here in Thailand, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, that depending on who you are, where you're at in life, Thailand can be an easier place to be if you want to be open about who you are. Just one big caveat to this, and this is kind of important. If you think that, wow, Thailand's so open, they're not. Thailand is still a very conservative culture, very conservative. And to show you what I mean by that, there are almost every day on the news, some guy will get in a fight with another foreigner or with a Thai person. They'll beat the piss out of each other, and no one gets deported for that. You might go to jail, but you won't necessarily get deported for that. But if you're on the beach doing some sexy stuff with your partner, thinking at night you can get away with it, and someone gets video of that, you will get deported, right? Like Thais will not tolerate that. That breaks Thai social norms. So you just need to, know what to do and what not to do. So whether you are gay or straight or man or woman, cis, trans, confused, whatever you are, mind your P's and Q's when you come to Thailand, okay? So don't be pushing people in the wrong direction. Just live your best life and be respectful, and everything will be great. Okay, so that's all I got to say on that. Okay, now time to bring it all home. It's all about me now, why I'm in Thailand, why I like to be in Thailand. Like I said, I didn't want to be putting my finger on the scale in that video I did about Vietnam versus Thailand. But now I'm just gonna put my elbow strongly on that scale. One caveat, I've been coming to Thailand since 2001, been living here for more than 10 years. So there is so much about this country that is just normal for me now. So I might not think to say anything. If you notice anything, leave a comment and I'll try and address it at some point. So for people who are not used to Thailand or Asia in general, there's going to be things you're going to notice that may be deal breakers that I'm kind of used to now. It's like when I go to Japan, because I lived in Japan all my life, I don't every time I go out in the street go, oh, that's so quirky. Japanese are so quirky. Because I don't think like that anymore. It's just normal. It's just Japan. It's just part of my life. Okay, so with that said, I'm just going to give you the broad strokes. And again, it's like I said, it's got some bias. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm very careful about trying to compare countries, because I think at a certain point, you're not comparing countries anymore. You're just comparing habits, like what you personally like better just because you're used to it. Okay, so with that all said, let's move on. All right, subjectively, after all that having been said, the first thing I love about Thailand, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's the people. I love Thai people. I have so many positive experiences with Thai people every day. It's positive. Like I rarely have a negative experience. Same even online. Like I told you on TikTok, all these followers, I get thousands of comments sometimes and not one of them is negative, unless it's from some, crotchety old Westerner who, takes umbrage with something I said. Thais and Filipinos are just positive people, right? So it's not just because you're a foreigner though. Like Thais, even in their own communities, they extend such courtesy and kindness to other Thais. It's just part of their culture. And we are very lucky as foreigners in Thailand because Thai people are lovely and they extend that same courtesy to you and that same kindness. Sometimes when some foreigners don't deserve it, Thais will still show that grace. And another thing that's kind of really cool with Thais is Thais have a kind of a playful side to them. I worked at Accenture Thailand on a banking project for a couple of years, and come around 2 p.m. there's like tons of people in this project. Everyone's on a sugar high. Everyone's like half my age. Everyone's like up and joking around. It's just a fun time everywhere. Like when you work in Thailand, you're gonna have fun, right? It's just like it's a fun place to be. Contrast that, on the other hand, to where I lived in Japan. I worked at a university in Japan. I'd go into our office at say, same thing, 2 p.m. And there's 40, 50 people in that office, and you could hear a pin drop. And it's not like Japanese get way more work done. Japan is infamously inefficient, right? It's just that they go about it in a different way. And Thais, if you're not having a bit of fun at work, if it's too serious, Thais would rather leave that job and find one they like than suffer something like that. And it's kind of cool. There's also this kind of thing where just people like to chat and will be friendly towards you. And that's not true in every country, right? To give you a case in point, I remember when I first came here in 2001. So I'd been, living in Japan all my life, and I was used to a culture where people treat you like they've never seen you before. I go to the same Subway, like literally every freaking day, and I get a ham sandwich, same thing, and I get mustard with extra mustard every single day. And the girl who used to usually take my order would make me say all the ingredients, and when it comes to sauce, I'd look at her like, are you kidding me? Like, do I have to say it out loud? And I had to say it out loud. right? Because they don't want to make a mistake or something. And this restaurant, so I used to write textbooks for a publisher in Japan. Actually, I still have a few textbooks used in universities there, so that's one of the side gigs I used to do. So I would go to, my usual routine was I'd go to Starbucks, I'd work there till they kicked me out, and then I'd go to an Italian restaurant called Caesarea, which is this amazing chain restaurant of Italian food restaurants, sorry, being redundant here. And they had this really cool thing where you could get a glass of really decent red Chianti wine for 100 yen. Now, the exchange rate now, that's like 60 cents for a glass of red wine. So you can imagine my condition, from after working there for 5 hours. But I went to the same place, and I know they knew who I was because a couple times I'd talked with the manager, and so they knew where I worked, they knew my name. But do you think they would ever actually look me in the eyes and say, hey, how are you? Every time it would be like, "Gochiman dekimashita dozo," they kind of look away. So then I come to Thailand in 2001, and my ex, Patty, she worked at an Emporium for this Swedish company. And a couple of days a week, I'd go meet her. We'd go up to the movie floor. We both like watching movies. We'd go to Starbucks, and I'd get a double espresso. That was my usual thing. After the second or third time, the girl, obviously, she knew our names. She would greet us by name. She was happy to see us. We'd have a chat. And that was also thanks to Patty, because Patty was like so sociable. She just got to know people. But about 6 months later, I was back. And, this is after Patty and I had finished. And I walk up and she's like, "Mike, espresso, right?" I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, how many thousands of customers? So Thais are kind of like that, they'll generally chat with you. The other real chatty country, of course, is the Philippines, where that is the people are so lovely country in Southeast Asia. The most chatty, the easiest to get to know in the Philippines. Thailand, right up there with them. And one more thing. So if you're from the States or any Western country, especially the States or Canada, and you go to a restaurant, the waiters will be super nice to you and super attentive, but they're doing that because they're getting a tip. So they're very goony goo like, "Hey, my name's Chad and I'll be your waiter tonight. And if you got any problems, I'm your man," blah, blah, blah. Which is very fake, right? In Thailand, you don't get fake. One of the best things about Thai people is they're kind of true to their feelings. If you go to a restaurant and a Thai person doesn't like working there or or maybe she's had a bad day, you might notice it, right? And if they don't like you, they won't hide it. They won't pretend. The opposite side of that coin is when Thais do get to know you and chat with you, they genuinely are showing who they are, what they're really feeling that day. And I love that authenticity. It's one of the things that made me love Thailand from the first day, right? So the people, double thumbs up. Vietnamese people are also lovely, also great, but they are just a little bit harder to get to know. And for me, I think it'd be okay because I've learned some Vietnamese, but I definitely noticed a difference when I was in Vietnam, right? And I get it, like why Vietnamese people are a little more hesitant to get to know foreigners, because pretty much every foreign group who's gone to their country has done terrible things, right? So maybe that's why. But so the people. All right, let's move on to the next point. Next point is food. What I'm going to say, I think Thai food is like the best cuisine on the planet. And remember, having lived in Japan all my life, you know how good Japanese food is, right? But Thai food, like if I leave Thailand for a week or two, I already have low-key withdrawal about, the spiciness, the variety. Like in any restaurant, even the smallest restaurant, there will be like 20 things on the menu. So yeah, I kind of miss that, when I'm away from Thailand. I do like Vietnamese food, but just for me personally, I like the noodles, I like the bang xiao. But, most things on the menu, I'm like, not really my style. Whereas in Thailand, it's pretty rare where there's something I don't genuinely just, ooh, I want that, or ooh, I want that. Okay? Food. Okay. Next up is weather. Now, this is just my preference, but I'm a big pussy when it comes to cold. I don't like cold weather. I'm from Canada, which is a cold country. I lived in Japan, which is cold in the winters. I just don't like cold weather. right? If I live my whole life and I never go below 20 degrees Celsius, I'll live happily ever after, man. I'm just my thing. And in Thailand, you never have to worry about it. The best weather months, by the way, in Thailand are going to be, say, like from Bangkok north, say December to March. December is my favorite month in Thailand. It's cool. It'll drop, down to like even 16 degrees Celsius. Sorry, I'm not American. I don't know Fahrenheit, but 16 degrees Celsius, pretty nippy, right? But it'll get to the point where you can just go all day without air conditioning. You just feel cool. It's dry. It's great. By March, the temperature's going up. But even when you get to the rainy season, which is something you cannot escape in Southeast Asia, every country's got it's like hurricane season, and you're just going to have to put up with heavy, heavy rain. Even in that season, like in Thailand, it'll rain like crazy for hours, and then you get sunshine again. You just don't go more than a couple days without some beautiful sunshine. Whereas in Vietnam, I can say from October, from Da Nang North, because I went there in October last year, I was there 6 weeks. I saw 6 sunny days. I counted them. Every other day was gray skies, borderline too cold to walk in a t-shirt, and drizzly rain. I felt like I was back in Port Alberni. I'm from Vancouver Island, and the West Coast, we get tons of rain, and it's, cold, sleet. I felt like that. It wasn't my happy place. So yeah, Thailand wins for me for weather for sure. Okay, one more point where I think Thailand wins. It's just how easy it kind of is to get things done. And I'm not saying there's not bureaucracy here. Thais love the old paperwork. But no more than any other Asian country. Asia's famous for just, even in Japan, which people think is efficient, it's not. They do everything on paper. I mean, I've got stories about Japan that's another video. I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks, so I'll make some videos about stuff. Thailand, the reason why it's kind of easy here is because even if you're the biggest goofball and you're not good at getting things done, I don't need a lot of hand-holding in general to get things done, but when I go to offices, I will make mistakes and I'm not sure, wait a minute, I went to the wrong place. Thais are so patient in the face of stupid foreigners. It's ridiculous how nice they are. Thais are so patient and so nice. They will help you get through all the hurdles you need to do, right? I got my driver's license renewed, I don't know, a few months back, and I hired a service. So it was just a bunch of foreigners and they were getting us step by step through. There's one guy there, I don't know if he was French or what, but he didn't speak any English, didn't speak any Thai. No way this guy should be driving a car. He had health problems. And man, I was thinking why are you giving this guy so much time? But they do in Thailand. She was lovely to the guy, right? So it kind of makes me understand why really hopeless people find it very hard to leave this country, because Thais are so kind and patient and nice, right? So that's one of the things that kind of keeps me here, I think, is just once you get a life set up, you kind of go on autopilot a bit. You know how to get things done. And my buddy Graham, he's always sending me hacks. He's the guy who got me onto the 90-day reporting app, which is this very useless and annoying thing you have to do every 90 days. It gets easy. All right, so very easy place to be. I can't speak intelligently about Vietnam, but I do know the banking system is more difficult. But yeah, that's just for me why Thailand wins. This is not a slight against Vietnam. I'm just saying why Thailand is good for me. All right, next up is tourism. And you might be thinking, I've lived here as long as I have, why does it matter? But there's so much of Thailand I've yet to see. And Thailand is a great country for tourism. If you like getting out of the city and just exploring stuff, there is so much to see here, it's ridiculous. And the infrastructure is so good. Tomorrow or the next day, I'm just jumping in my car and I'm going up to Lopburi because they got some kind of rare macaque monkeys I want to go see. I have no idea how I'm going to get there, but I do know I'll be on amazing highways the whole time. And after that, I'll go up north to Nakhon Phanom to see my buddy Graham, my Canadian buddy. Same thing. It will be just modern roads and modern gas stations and great roads that'll just be good, right? But even if you don't have a car, Thailand is trains, planes, and automobiles and vans. There's just so many easy ways to get around here. things are so well developed for tourism. It's just amazing for that. And I love that about living in Thailand is when I do tourist stuff, it's just painless. You know, you don't have to fight for anything. You can go to really remote areas as well, and it'll be great. In fact, true story, back to the old Patty thing again. When I first got here, it was 2001, and we went to Koh Samet, which is like an hour that away, just off the coast of Rayong. Even now, it's still my favorite island to visit in Thailand. It's got this beautiful white sand. You know, the beach is like baby powder white sand. But 25 years ago, it was not developed at all. Like even on the main white sand beach, the best resort was just like some nice bungalows. Most of the beaches were not developed. But in the little mini township they did have a convenience store. And in that convenience store, or outside, they had an ATM. I was able to use my Japanese credit card and my bank card in that ATM to get money. Now to contrast that, obviously for people in North America, they're like, yeah, no, you know, big deal. Like even for me as a kid, we had ATMs, right? Wasn't that big of a deal. But in Asia, like living in Japan, I remember in the year 2000, it made national news. And they said, you know, Nihon wa benji ni narimashita. You know, Japan has become so convenient now because you could use an ATM that wasn't physically attached to a bank. Because when I got to Japan, you would have to physically go to a bank in banking hours, because after then this little thing came down to use any kind of ATM, which defeats the purpose. Like, why do they have ATMs when the bank is open? But that was Japan, right? So you can imagine my surprise when we went to, not even there, down in Krabi, we went all over the place. It was just so good, the infrastructure here of tourism. And it's only gotten better. And it's not just for foreigners, like, you know, the payments systems and all this kind of stuff, it's been developed for local Thais. People have this idea that Thais are all like, you know, farmers or something. They're not, man. There's a huge middle class in Thailand, and they love to travel and get around. So if you love tourism, Thailand is a great place to be. And it's also another reason it keeps me here is I still feel there's so much more I have to see, especially the national parks. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so this video is getting way too long. I don't know if I really want to talk about the dating scene. I probably should bring it up a little bit because, you know, it does matter to people. I can say without a doubt, that's not why I'm in Thailand. If my definition of what is important as a place for me to retire was where I can get the most strange, I never would have left Japan, right? If you're a Westerner in Japan, you know, sorry, but that's a great place to be for that. I don't do the bar thing and stuff here at all. I mean, in my 30s, like I said, I kid in the candy store, partied all the time. But in the last 15 years, no, really not at all. That is not why I'm here. And it's not even for dating and stuff. I mean, I'd be a bold-faced liar if I said I'm not on every dating site. I mean, I still give it the old college try. But to be honest, you kind of give up a bit. I mean, think about how hard it is in your own hometown, speaking to someone who knows your culture and your own language, to meet up with anyone. Now multiply that. Well, even thinking back to when I lived in London, when I was, 22, I was bartending in London. Met a girl named Natalie, won't say her last name. She worked at Pinewood Studios, and she liked my Canadian accent, and I was fully into this girl. So we were together, I don't know, a bunch of months. Most of the things where we used to have arguments or whatever was cultural, right? Like the way that I thought was normal was a Canadian-based thing, West Coast Canadian. She was very British, and we would argue about stuff. Now imagine you're in a country like Thailand, where not only is the culture and what is considered normal very different, but there's the language as well, right? And most guys here, you know, they can't confidently order a plate of food in Thai, let alone deal with the nuances of a girl who's sitting there pissed off at you and you saying, what did I do? What's wrong? And she's going, nothing. Good luck sorting that stuff out when you don't speak a common language, right? So dating is just, it's hard everywhere. I would suggest if that's your point, if your whole point is going to date someone, go to the Philippines, right? It's just, it's so easy to meet people and talk to them and connect with people there because of English, but also the Philippines, unlike any country I've ever been to, are amazingly adaptable. Like you can be with a Filipino friend and in the same, like within 2 minutes, first they're talking to a Filipino person being very Pinoy, and then they talk to some Westerners and they're very Western and they joke in a Western manner. And then they start talking to an East Asian like a Japanese and fall into that mode, right? So that's a great place to go and kind of meet up with people, right? So that's, I think, all I got to say about dating. I don't really want to get into it too much. Okay, so it's starting to get noisy here, so let me finish up. I'm basically giving you a snapshot of why I consider Thailand home. I'm not in any way trying to convince you that it's better than Vietnam. We all have to make our own decisions. This video is primarily about why I'm in Thailand. But before the Vietnam haters jump in, every time I go back to Vietnam, the honeymoon's already wearing off for me because I've actually lived there. Every time I go there, I 50% like it more, and I find new foods that I like, and I can see myself maybe moving there someday, right? So it's not that I don't like Vietnam, especially the sense of community. Like here, I can count on two hands the number of people I consider to be really close friends. Every time I go to Vietnam, I meet 3 new people who I think I could go to coffee with this person every day and never get tired. So there's that in Vietnam. There's that. I find it's more kind of my kind of people in Vietnam. But it's still not enough to knock me off that habitual cart that I'm on, right? There's that stickiness of just living where I am. I actually took I audited a course through Duke University a bunch of years back, and it was aberrant psychology. I can't remember now, but I remember one study, and it showed how difficult it is for people to change, even just change their minds about things, but change anything in their life once they're in a pattern. And the study was between Belgium and the Netherlands. Both had organ donorship as a optional tick mark, like we do back in Canada. You can say, I want to be an organ donor. In Belgium, they had it pre-selected. So you're automatically an organ donor unless you uncheck that, right? And you said, I'm not going to do that. And in the Netherlands, it was the opposite. You were not an organ donor unless you checked in. Almost 100% of people in Belgium are organ donors, and about 30% in the Netherlands. And that's not because Belgian people are much, kinder or anything. It's just because of our psychology, right? So it will take quite a push for me to change this, which brings me, I guess, to the conclusion, my thought experiment of, what would it take me to break out of Thailand, And I've thought about it a lot. And I think the one thing would be if, let's say tomorrow, Vietnam decides to make a proper retirement visa. Simple requirements, easy to get, easy to renew. And on the same day, Thailand says, anyone on a retirement visa, you get to finish out your year and then you're done. Would I make a move? And I'm not I don't think I would right away, because it's like Jerry Seinfeld said about knocking over a vending machine. You can't do it in one push. You got to knock it back and forth a bit at times. I think I'd probably move to an education visa, buy myself some time. But I would immediately that afternoon be online looking at what I would have to do, how difficult it would be for me to move out of Thailand, right? And move to Vietnam, move my life there. Even with that, I would still want to live here a few months of the year because I have condos here. But I think that's about what it would take me to move, would be the difference in the visa. Again, thanks to you guys who left comments. I kind of realize how important that is now. All right. So I think I'm just about at the end of my thing. I'm really sorry for how long this one's gone. Let's do this. So we'll make a secret code. You owe me a beer. If you write "you owe me a beer" in the comments when you come to Thailand, I will buy you some beers for having listened to all this. All right. Other than that, like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I always hate it when people do that like all the time, but here I am doing my thing. Anyway, my name is Mike, Coding Travel Bug, My next videos will likely be from Japan. I'm not really sure, but I'm flying to Japan on the 25th of July. And I might be doing some stuff on buying a condo there. So stay tuned for that. All right. On that note, it's getting pretty noisy here. So I'll sign off. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time around. Have a great day.